Coming to you from UBN Studios in Burbank, California. You're listening to the Unsugarcoated Podcast with your host, Ali Alanius.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Unsugarcoated with Alia, your favorite social good podcast. I'm extremely happy today to have a returning guest. But before we actually allow you to see her, I want to go over a couple things. First of all, thank you so much. You guys have continued to support the podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. Be sure to check out at Unsugarcoated Media on Instagram. Thank you for staying connected with me, but we definitely want to grow that. For those of you who do or do not know, Unsugarcoated Media is the 501c3 media production company that produces this podcast and many other products, all in an effort to create social impact through storytelling, especially for survivors of trauma. We have the Clubhouse now that we're on. We have Club Unsugarcoated, and every Wednesday we're actually doing a live version of Unsugarcoated with Alia, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or Pacific Daylight Time right now. We also have me co-hosting Worldwide Radio with Tony Pizarro, J-Tap, DJ Aliwad, and I Am Fame. Gotta catch it. It's all about positivity as well as good music. So that is enough of the announcements. We also, for those of you who've been keeping tab up to this point in the season, our theme, grow with the flow. Challenges are thrown at us every single day, right? But how can we learn from them? How can we grow from them? If you picture yourself a little liquidy in this universe, if you understand and are able to stay in a state of flow, let me tell you, it's not that the things that come up will not tax you. It is not that they will not make you frustrated a little bit, but there's still an opportunity to overcome them. It is well within your capacity to show up every single day for whatever it is that you need to get through. And with that, there's the conversation of confidence. Confidence, how are you showing up for yourself in the different ways that you can do that? How are you breaking the stereotypes? How are you showing up with the own version of yourself that is truly impacting the world? Well, I'm going to ask somebody incredibly wonderful about that question today, and I can't wait to get into that because it is all about embracing your superpower. It takes a lot for you to truly accept who you are, and I want to remind you of a philosophy after watching several of my friends come to the end of their life. A lot of you guys know I'm a cancer survivor. I talk about that all the time. And every time one of my dear friends would come towards the end, I would start to see everybody saying, please, we're praying for the miracle. We need the miracle. We need the miracle. And the only thing that I can tell you, quite honestly, and being unsugarcoated, is that eventually I started to realize, hey, everybody, we've been living the miracle. This is it. Every day that you get up, every day that I get up, every day that I get to say hello and goodbye to somebody I care about, or go have lunch, or go have an experience, even though a lot of us don't get to have those as much every day anymore, you know what? The fact that we get to get up, that's a miracle in itself. And to show up with confidence, understanding who you are and what you bring to the table is something I want you to do. So with that, let's get started to bringing our guest into the conversation. So Nazanin Nour is an actor, writer, host, and voiceover artist. After moving to New York and working for an international litigation firm, she decided that career path was unfulfilling, and she made the choice to pursue a career in entertainment. Nazanin has always had an affinity for comedy and political satire and is trained in improv as well as sketch writing at the famed Upright Citizens Brigade Theater in both New York City and Los Angeles. She used this training to begin creating and shooting her own sketches, which quickly went viral. These short-form content videos caught the attention of producers of Persia's Got Talent, the Persian language spinoff of Fremantle Media's Got Talent franchise, and she was cast as a judge. She's appeared in several television shows, including Madame Secretary, Criminal Minds, and Political Animals, as well as in feature films. She was in the psychological thriller 1,000 Little Cuts, and you've heard her voice in the audio play Wish You Were Here. Here to share what she has been up to since the last time that I had the pleasure of interviewing, I'm thrilled to see her back with her style, beauty, and grace, and of course her jokes. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Ms. Nazanin Nour.
Not so much style today, just a t-shirt.
but it's so LA. It actually is style.
It's comfortable.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I have a party and people are like, how should I dress? I'm like, it's LA. You just don't come naked.
No,
All right?
and I feel like LA, but there's difference. It's like you're going out to dinner and it's like, should I be like cute LA, dressed up LA, or chill LA?
Right.
Or beach LA? You know, there's like so many different things.
Okay, tell me, is your person, like, because I feel like you have that, you can do all those different forms, right?
Yeah.
I have to share with you, I was in, I was in Cannes last.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up, it was Saturday night, it was kind of raining, so I'm like, I'm going to just wear jeans and a cute leather jacket and a scarf, and I'm just going to be comfortable. Because even though I'm in Cannes, it's Saturday and it's rainy.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, I'm at a castle party where everyone is dressed in black tie and gowns.
Ooh.
Right?
How'd you feel?
I had to come in and act like I'm from LA.
Yeah, this is
I'm
how
meant
we
to be
dress
like
in
this.
castles. So, also you could have just what I might have done in that situation if everyone's in ball gowns and I'm in jeans is I would have acted like I was the event manager or something. You know, I would have been like, well, I'm so happy you all are here, and I just came to enjoy and mingle a little bit, but you guys do your thing. I might have played it like that.
I could see it, but you would have pulled it off with such grace. So you are an amazing actress. You've been doing a lot. I love what you've been doing. Give us an update. What's one of your most favorite things that you have been up to since you last were here?
I love auditioning. We recorded, so there's this play, it's called Wish You Were Here. It's written by Sana Tusi. She's an Iranian American playwright. And it stars 5 Iranian American women, and it's an incredible story, and it's about female friendships, and it's set in Iran before the revolution, during the revolution, after. Long story short, it didn't go up last year because of COVID, but Audible picked it up, and so we recorded it. We recorded it for Audible, which is, and that was one of the best experiences I've had in this last year that we've done, because especially as a Iranian American artist, there's not a lot of us, and I've never been in a cast where it's just all of us, where we're, it's like a family unit instead of you're the one that's a little bit different than everybody else, if that makes sense. And it was written by someone that's one of us, so I feel like the voices were more authentic, and it was a wonderful experience. And there's good news with that play that we can't share yet,
right?
But
stay tuned.
Yes,
that's
stay tuned to that. And then I remember we did I say we, me, I did a Nowruz program. Nowruz is Persian New Year. For Voice of America, we shot a bunch of different segments with some, of our favorite Iranian artists, and I did a bunch of those all over LA, and that was really, really fun. So, and to be able to do all this during COVID, was really interesting the way we had to get everything done, but we did. And a short film that I co-wrote and I co-starred in premiered at a few film festivals within the last couple of months, and we have a couple more that it will premiere in overseas. And we're working on the feature-length script of that. So I've been working on that as well. In addition to a couple projects I want to get off the ground myself too.
Girl, that is so exciting.
Yeah.
We should talk more. We're actually going to Italy. We're going to the Venice Film Festival. Joseph, my husband, has a film premiering The Card Counter, little plug, with Tiffany Haddish, Oscar Isaac. Paul Schrader's the director on it, so we'll be going over there, and then simultaneously has a film shooting. So, you're very passionate about representation, and I love that.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when we talk about, I have to throw this in there, even though you're Persian, did you watch Rami at all?
Of course.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Anything that comes out, it's interesting. Well, I like to support, of course, Iranian artists, but anyone from the region, I want to support. Anyone of color. So it's the Black community, the Asian community, Hispanic community, whatever it is, I'm there for it. But I also love stand-up comedy, and I have friends that are comedians too. So I was already kind of aware that the show was coming out. There's a hype around it, and I read about it, and I loved it. I think I binge watched it when it came out on Hulu. Yeah, for over the course of 2 days.
Right.
Yeah,
I did too.
I
never
wonderful.
felt so represented in my life, by the way, on film. I just genuinely, down to them like taking the suitcases and the like we used to have to take crock pots and stuff, the presto, don't forget my bresto, like all these different things that you're trying to take home. People show up to the airport with 5 different luggages. Anyways, I never felt so represented, even in a lot of the conversations, breaking those stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
tell me.
No, I was just going to say, I don't know if I felt, there were certain elements of it where I felt a connection to, but again, it was based on an Egyptian American family, and
Hence,
you know, so being Iranian, it's still, there are still differences, and my family, we didn't grow up religious or anything, so that element wasn't there, but because I've been around it my whole life, it still feels so familiar, and it was really nice to see a representation of that on screen where it's not cast as a terrorist, or it's a terrorist plot, or a terrorist sympathizer, or a terrorist, you know, defect, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And to that point, that's actually what I loved, because to me, there's a lot of hypocrisy that takes place within our cultures.
Okay.
And it's funny. And I mean, with regards even to the Islamic level that they had in it, and but you have this idea of a person behaving a certain way, which they tend to do with people of other cultures. Like they have these assumptions, right? So I love that it just really addressed that, or tried to shatter that mindset of you're all the same, and you like people.
Do you mean like in the second season when his girlfriend was black?
Oh, I mean the black, or like even the mother who kind of flirted with the idea of this guy giving her attention.
Right.
You know, I mean all these.
Oh, that was so funny and cute.
And cute.
And like sad.
And sad and realistic, but for people in general. So I love to see them coming through with a different storyline for sure. Yeah. Congrats on what you've done. You've made such I've been, I know you know this. I've been with you for several years. Yeah. I've watched you when you were, it always resonated with me, of course. I love your humor. Thank you. Tapping into the idea of superstar and where you've grown. You have been on, prior to COVID, of course, the Persia's Got Talent. How was that for you to come from the spectrum of you're the artist who is seeking the attention, or seeking to bring this content to an audience, right? And then now you're sitting on a stage as a judge, and you're watching other people put their talent in front of you. And that responsibility is on you now. Yeah. Share with me a bit of that experience. How was that for you? What do you look forward to going back to about it?
Well, thankfully, we were able to go back in October, November and finish the first season. So we did the semifinals and finals, and it aired in February. Second season, I don't know about, so fingers crossed for that. But it was an immense pressure, but also a positive one, because I told some of the contestants as well or when we would discuss it as the judges, because the other three judges are so well known and famous in our community, and I was very unknown. And so it was almost like I felt this connection to the contestants, because I know what it's like to go in and to an audition room and be in front of casting, and add to that, we had a whole live audience that's watching. There's like 500 to 800 people on any given night where we're taping, and I felt their nerves. It's like I understood what they were going through, so I really tried hard to like make eye contact with them while they're on stage. Like, I got you. Yeah, we're all here for you to win. Don't worry, But yes, and I always felt like I have a responsibility to lead with positivity first. So, of course, you're going to see people that maybe aren't on their A game with their talent. They need work, But I always like to start with the positive comments first, and then kind of like ease into, and then maybe you should work on this or think about that, So it was fun. It was a really wonderful experience, and I had a great time doing it.
Did you guys have like a Simon Cowell on the show? Was there a Simon Cowell version?
Well, we have our...
By that, I mean somebody who's just like, go get another job.
I would say that Ebby June, which I guess you would say he would be like the Simon, but he's such a sweetheart that he, you know what I mean? But he was, because he's been in the industry for decades and he's an icon. So he was very to the point. Like you said, like, I remember one contestant, he just looked at them, and this was in Farsi, of course. He was like, your voice is not that good, And we were all just like, oh, no. So I'm like, what can I tell them that's going to make them at least smile a little bit?
Like not go home and cry in their pillow, right?
Yeah. Which is also normal, because they have to understand, too, like, when you want to get to the next level, it's not going to be everybody sitting there and singing your praises and telling you how wonderful you are. And you're not going to get better that way either. You have to hear it. There's a difference between being mean and being real and giving someone constructive criticism that they can actually use to better themselves or to get ahead in their career.
Right.
Which I think is what we all tried to do. Nobody was mean or, purposefully tried to make mean comments. It was like,
Right. In the music world,
this.
in the music world, I've learned that that's flowers and nutrients.
Oh,
you know, the
interesting,
flowers and nutrients, the nutrients to help you grow.
Yeah.
It's the feedback. And I think that in you as an artist, as a creative, as an actress,
Yeah.
as well as a writer, you know, I imagine you constantly want to up your game. How did being part of the competition, did it impact your own creative process at all?
Being a part of
the judging and being part of the competition and watching these young creatives aspire. And
I think it's always inspirational to watch anybody chasing after their dreams. And I think you can always feel reinvigorated to a certain extent of, that hunger, you know, and I still feel that because there, you know, even as an actor, it kind of is a very, very small group of people where they kind of never have to audition again, and I'm not in that group. And so
like Brad Pitt.
Yeah, like Brad Pitt probably never ever has to audition. He hasn't had to for many years, but I'm not there, and so I know what it feels like to have to kind of stay hungry and always be on your A game and get better. And when I, for example, tape auditions with other actor friends, I always tell them, don't blow smoke up my ass. You know, tell me what should we improve? What are you not seeing on camera? What can I do better? What can we, you know, work on to make this like the best thing? So I think it's important to be able to be open still, no matter where you are in your career, though, to that feedback from people whose opinions matter.
Correct. No, I get
Not to sound mean, but
no,
you know,
that's a very valid statement,
Yeah.
because a lot of people have opinions and they've never, like, okay, I can
never
sit,
set foot on a set.
right? Or like I can sit on my couch
Yeah.
and tell the quarterback you would have
Should've
won
gone that way.
so easy.
Yeah,
If you'd
why
have
didn't you
just thrown
pass it
this-
off or throw? Yeah,
Right?
Right.
If it was me,
If
I'd
it
have
was
done
you.
better. But,
Right,
you know,
right.
But so I love that you say that, and in the vein of confidence. So
Yeah.
do you still get nervous? Like your first time, Persia's Got Talent. There's this whole, you
Yeah,
know,
I
it's
was
amazing.
so
You look
nervous.
so freaking amazing.
Oh,
by
thank
the
you
way,
so much.
I am like, that's my girl. I know they love her.
Oh, I
because
appreciate
she's,
you.
know, even if
Well,
you're
not
in the
everybody
movie.
loved me, but thank you.
The ones who don't, we don't care about you. But honestly and genuinely, you know, did you get nervous? What was the first time?
Yeah, I got nervous because all the tapings were live, and so there was an audience. And in my mind too, I knew that out of like if there's 800 people there, maybe 10 of them knew who I was prior. You know, so I knew I was walking out to a bunch of people like, who is this girl? Yeah,
The slow clap.
Yeah, they're like looking at each other, and I'm like. So I knew that going in, but I feel like that I turned that into, you said something in the beginning, I kind of turned that into my superpower, where it was like, I'm just owning I know these people don't know who I am, but they will know who I am, and that's okay. And I'm just here to entertain, hopefully, you know, make you laugh or, you know, whatever it is, feel some sort of emotion toward this show and these contestants. But I always got nervous before, and I always still do this to this day whenever I'm about to go on stage or in front of a camera. I did it even before we started this, is I just like send out a little shout out, a little prayer. And then, you know, I kind of ground myself and I say the things that I want to do. Like, okay, you know, be yourself and speak clearly and be charming but be yourself and be honest. And I kind of remind myself what to do and how to be. And then I go, and whatever happens, happens, you know?
You set your intention.
I set my intentions and then I
love that.
lean into it. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake, and that's okay.
But see, is it really a mistake? Because that's what growing with the flow means.
Yeah.
You know, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
You are genuinely in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Yeah.
and if you really live under that knowledge, even with everything that we've been going through, it all, you know, hindsight's 2020. We can't see it. I love the saying recently. I heard, you can't read the label from inside the bottle.
Oh.
You know,
Oh.
right? Like we like.
I feel like
that
I got to
one.
hear that
Yeah.
twice to really get
You
it.
cannot read the label from
Uh-huh.
inside the bottle. You need to be on the out. You need
Yeah.
someone from the outside, a
Perspective.
perspective from the
Yeah.
outside, because we can become so consumed by what we're living in and what we're dealing with, right?
Well, to that effect, I was nervous too because while I'm fluent in Farsi, I'm not a native speaker. And I still need work and I need to practice, which I did, to make sure that I could be as quick in Farsi as I am in English.
Right.
And so I remember I was nervous about that too. And when I get really excited or nervous at the same time, I sometimes I get stuck on my words and I'm like, it's coming, it's coming. And my co-stars and even our producers were like, listen, that's your thing on this show too, is people know that you were born and raised in America. You're not a native speaker. You're going to have an accent. Lean into it. If you forget a word, and I did a couple times, I was like, wait, what is that? And I asked my fellow judges, and they even said beforehand, that's your thing. Like, we'll help you if you get stuck. Right. It's not a big deal. And so that helps too. You know, again, being surrounded by
Right.
people that are going to help.
It's okay if you have a Hilaria Baldwin moment and you need to remember
Oh
how
my
to
God,
say a
Kate.
word.
How you say,
How you say this
cucumber? Yeah.
Sorry, I had to throw that in, please. No.
Yeah, that was really funny because I've seen that video.
I just think as a person who from time to time makes, like I get around my fellow, people, and I get an accent real quick and people are like, oh, I didn't know you were raised overseas, or I start to, how do you say this word? And I laugh when I saw it because I know exactly what that is like.
Yeah.
Because the minute I start trying to think in Arabic, my brain, but
right.
But
the
it's different.
accent was a bit affected.
That was
the difference.
Like
that would
I
be
actually make fun. If I'm saying an accent, it's intentional.
Right.
It's purpose
to add to the whatever.
When I
we're
yell at
talking
my
about.
kids, get your shoes off. All this
Yeah.
stuff. Get out. You.
Yeah.
It's always mean things I'm yelling at.
Yeah.
Right?
You're beautiful. You did great on your test. You gotta yell those things too.
Okay, so
You're so smart.
Go park the car. No, I'm kidding. My son's been dying to learn how to drive. I'm like, not in LA. No.
How old is he?
He's 16.
Oh,
He's
good
about
luck.
to turn 16.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. People know you to be funny.
Oh, thanks.
But I know that you're very smart and often using your humor to share a more deep and personal message with others. Mm-hmm. Talk about that journey for you. Like, how did that start and what has been the best part of it?
I think it started because I was a big fan of Saturday Night Live growing up, and I would watch it with my parents, even when I was really young, before I even sometimes understood half the jokes, like it's like, I don't know why that's funny, but, and Weekend Update was always really funny to me. So that style started getting into my head. And then you have Jon Stewart and The Daily Show, and I was a big fan of that, and Stephen Colbert coming up, and then, now you have new people too, like Samantha Bee, Trevor Noah. But that style was always really fun to me because I felt like, if I go to a person, I'm like, well, this is what should happen in the world, and let me tell you why. Most people tune you out if they don't agree with you already. So then you're just like in an echo chamber with people who actually agree with you. I don't want to do that. I try not to do that. So I feel like if you come at people and you say something in a humorous way, or you throw in some sarcasm or satire, it keeps people's attention. And it gives them the knowledge and the information, and then they can decide on their own, but you're showing them another perspective. And, George Carlin was really good at that too. And I was a big fan of the way he would deliver satire, and he would talk about politics. And there's that one rant he has that goes viral like every few months, because it's still true to this day.
Basically everything he said is
yeah,
still true to this day.
Him, Richard Pryor. That stuff always really stuck with me. So then I thought, well, I'm going to try to do this. And then I just, with my friend, went out into DC a few times, and I would do these women on the street segments. And I would blend politics with humor. And then I would throw in some random questions too that were just meant to be, silly. And it was really interesting, the conversations that it started with people that you would think from outside, there's no way we have anything in common. Like, there was a group of women that were outside one time. They were from the south of Virginia. They were a Christian choir, and they had come to the White House to sing.
Right.
And I was asking them about Iran and Iranians, and they were like, we've never met an Iranian. And then when I told them I was Iranian, I was like, well, now you know one.
Right.
And they're like, but you're not covered. And then so it was this whole conversation, we're like, well, not everybody covers, and actually they're forced to cover in Iran, so that's not really how, it's supposed to be. And it goes into this whole thing. And they were so open and receptive to learning more. It doesn't mean we change everyone's minds on every issue known to man, but now it's they met somebody that kind of changed their perspective. I met a group of people that, again, from the outside, would have been I don't think we're going to have anything in common, maybe, if you want to go based on that. But we actually did find things in common. So I don't know. It's also to show people we are more alike, and we all do kind of want the same things.
Yeah.
And also we should all band together around the people, against the people who really are messing things up.
Right.
Which is people in
Hence,
power.
we have an amazing picture of you down at the protests. I was also down at the protests. I know.
Yeah, that's me.
Iranian Americans for Black Lives.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What was that experience like for you, and what drew you out there?
I believe that that specifically was a really emotional time for everybody. And I feel like everything was compounded because so many people were at home. And I think that these issues that we were all protesting for have been issues for longer than we've been alive. But the difference is, I feel like some people just get caught up in their own life, and they they see it and it's like, oh man, that's terrible, and you move on to the next thing. This past summer, it was like everybody was stopped and paused, and I think it just kind of resonated with more people, and it evoked this emotional response where people were like, no, that's fucking it. Right. I'm sorry, can we cuss?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I've been like holding back.
Unsugarcoated.
Everyone's fucking sick of it.
Right. She's over here talking about George Carlin. I'm like, my role model was Eddie Murphy.
Oh, yeah.
So there
you go.
You at least had better jokes. Eddie Murphy was just, a lot of bad jokes.
We could do a lot of F-bombs. That's fine. But it was important to me because I feel like, I've protested many times before, and I've always been, I guess, supportive of, Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ community. Basically, any minority group that's been also oppressed it's like an underdog story to me also. So it's really important to me to show publicly my support as well, and not just do it from the sidelines. I live in Hollywood, so everything was like coming right by where I live, and it was, no brainer. I headed out, and I went out multiple times.
Yeah, that reminds me, actually, I remember one, and we don't live too far from each other. I'm over there by Roxbury Park. I remember you sharing a video which spoke to what I saw, where you'd have these gatherings, and then you'd actually see a lot of antagonism.
Oh yeah, I saw agitators.
The police as well.
From the police
as well as
yes.
agitators. Like I remember you were on the street. I think it was on Melrose or Beverly Boulevard.
Yeah, it was down Melrose.
And then all of a sudden, you just saw them coming at you.
Yes.
And were you scared?
Yes, but this is speaks to, again, the reason we're even out there in the first place was I didn't actually think anything's going to happen to me.
Correct.
And I was by myself. In my biker shorts and t-shirts, and I'm just like standing around. I was like, and then I saw because I got ahead of the bigger group, because I wanted to take some video and pictures, and so I was kind of right in the middle, and LAPD was coming from this way, and the protesters were, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and then I tried to yell to people to just to tell them,
right,
hey, be
Heads
careful
up.
as you're walking, like don't try not to do anything that might be perceived as a threat. So I was kind of like yelling to the group and like, slow down or whatever. And then all of a sudden, they just kind of like rolled up out of nowhere, and they had I think they were rubber bullets from what I could see, because the guns were, they were the ones that have orange on it. So it's clearly not a, live ammunition.
Right, live ammunition, exactly.
So yeah, that was bad because I saw the whole line of protesters kind of kneel, and everyone had their hands up, and somebody threw something, and that's what kind of, and then one person hears a crash, and then all of a sudden it's like mayhem. And then I did try to walk away from it, because I was like, well, at this point there's nothing I can do,
right,
other than get hurt.
Right.
And then I saw two guys specifically. They were right next to me, and they had black hoodies, black jeans, baseball bat, and they were white, or at least white passing. And they were just, and I just remember I looked at them, and they're like, come on, let's go. And they put their hoods on. And I was like, this is weird, because first of all, where did they come from? They just kind of came up from around the corner of the sidewalk. And that's why when I would see, the footage too, and the way that it was getting reported in the news, I was like, no, these agitators are a real thing. Like, that's happening.
Right.
There's been footage that was released multiple times from all over LA and other cities that were showing this happen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but it's just important for me to be out there. And I think that the more that you have communities of color come out in support of other communities of color, sure, it can only make us all stronger. And
absolutely. And to be seen.
And to be seen and heard.
Right.
Yeah.
You talk and I think especially more recently in support of that, and ally, and to just solidarity, you talk more about being the child of an immigrant.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
My dad is an immigrant, and and that's a sense of pride for me.
Same.
And a lot of people want to make that not like as if you belong here less. Or, for example, everywhere I go, I always get this, where are you from? I say California. They're like, where are you really from?
Yeah.
Right. There's always this assumption, or this kind of the way that it's presented, like I don't belong, or I don't seem like I would come from here.
Same.
But we're in 2021. Like,
yeah,
people have been in the United States for a long time, many different cultures. I really don't understand when I get that question still. But anyways, I want to hear your
I
experience.
still get it too. I mean, I feel like I've gotten that question since I was a child, and I always knew it didn't mean what city am I from, you know?
Right.
Because it's like, my name's Nazanin, and they're like, what's that? Where are you from?
And you kind of like messing with them just a little bit, right?
Well, if I don't like the way somebody asks the question, I do say Arlington, Virginia.
Right.
And they're like, no, but where are you really from? I'm like, oh, it's like the border of DC, and you know what I mean? And I just play dumb just because I want to annoy them. But no, and now I think that being a child of an immigrant gives you, again, a superpower, like you said, because you have such a different perspective. And I know that there are also immigrant children that grew up in a way where their parents wanted them to assimilate. Right. So their native tongue wasn't spoken at home. They were more pushed to speak English and be more American, quote unquote, whatever that means to that family. But my family was never like that. It was very much like, yeah, you're going to grow up with Iranian culture. You know, I couldn't sleep over at people's houses where they're not Iranian. My parents were like, my mom was always like, well, we don't know their parents. And I'm like, well, if you call and talk to their mom and dad, you'll know them. Right. Like, you know,
Such an American kid thing to say.
Yeah. I was like, well, you can get to know them. You know, I went to Persian school, Farsi school for 8 years. So, you know, you're around your culture. You learn how to read and write the language. You're just, you know, they wanted to make sure that they kept us Iranian, even though we were American.
Right.
So I got the best of both worlds. And when you grow up, when you're younger, you do see that sometimes as a detriment because of the way that I was treated in school. I got bullied. I got called racial slurs. So all that stuff happened. But then I got to college and I was like, fuck this shit, you know, like, oh, now I kind of found my voice. And I was like, yes. That's why I've also become very sensitive about my name. Because your name is your identity, and I'm so used to, as soon as I would introduce myself, someone would shorten my name immediately, or they would mispronounce even the shortened version, or they're like, that's too hard. And now I'm like, no, my name's Nazanin. And they're like, oh, can we call you something else? Nope, that's my name, you know? So, because I know, but it's like when you have years and years of people like coming at you about this one thing, then you become very, it's kind of like a trigger.
Right.
I don't get mad and throw things, but I'm very adamant about like, that's my name, you know?
I can appreciate that. I was recently, and it's funny, even with my husband's name, I'm kind of like that. I agree with you. My name is Alia. Everyone always butchers my name. I can tell when I'm at the doctor's office when they get to me because they have this confused look. Like, I think, and then Alia. I get Alia a lot.
But it's okay though if people get confused.
Well, Alia is a little too close to alien.
Oh, right.
So
right.
I'll take Alia or Aliyah. Those I'm okay with. Alia, I'm like, nah, no, I'm kidding.
It's not gonna happen.
But I was at a dinner and it was funny because my husband's name is Joseph. Mm-hmm. And when people call him Joe, I'm like, it's not Joe.
It's not Joe.
Joe is, you know, no offense to anybody with the name Joe, but his name is Joseph. That extra syllable can't be that hard.
It's not that hard, yeah.
And we were at a dinner and I had just introduced my husband as Joseph, and then this guy calls him Joe, and I'm like, did you just call my husband Joe?
Yeah.
He accused me of being from East LA. He said, oh, look, the attitude. I've been like, oh, because I asked, I'm
That's
ghetto,
so annoying.
or I'm like, I'm East LA. I'm not from East LA, but thank you for the compliment.
Yeah.
Because if that means I know how to speak
stuck up for myself,
and say
then sure, I'm from East LA.
I'm from East LA.
Yeah.
Shoot. But
that's the thing too, is like people, I just feel like it's just about respect and about it, because it almost feels like, because that's also part of your identity. This is how I feel, because it's a part of my identity. When someone wants to brush over, it makes me feel like you're dismissing me or what I'm, you know, and 100%. Hey, just ask. If I meet someone who has a difficult name, I'll just be like, can you pronounce that for me? And you try. And a lot of times people are like, hey, you can call me this instead. And then I do it.
Yeah.
But that is kind of a frustrating topic.
I agree. Okay. So I want to talk about some of the content. You're a creator. I know you have this amazing goofy side. How do you stay engaged in content creation right now as a creative?
I've gone back and forth on it this last year because there's some days I sit there, I'm like, this doesn't fucking matter. Nobody cares. The world is on fire. The Middle East this is happening there. Look at what's happening, all over the world. Look at what's happening in our own country. Why am I going to go make a funny video? And then I think, well, there's certain things that make me laugh. There's certain reasons that people have followed me or they've enjoyed content that I've made. So like, I would like to keep doing that. And then I do still use it to get messages out.
Right.
With political undertones as well. So then I do it. But I feel like it's always been this back and forth of like, should I even make this? Nah.
Right.
And then I'll sit on it and then I'll wait.
I'm looking for something because I saw it and I have to give a shout out to my girl, Lindsay Brooks. She posted something. I know you're going to appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
And it's a saying that I definitely agreed with as soon as I can find it because it was hilarious. Now, okay, but here's the thing. Actually, to follow up, I'm going to find it. I feel that laughter is something especially powerful, to your point, in a moment of difficulty. What is it about comedy to you that is so empowering?
What makes comedy empowering? Because I also feel like no matter where you are from, or what you do, when you're like in a room full of stand-up comedians or you're watching like sketch or something, everybody in the room can laugh and find that thing funny. So it kind of brings people together, but also it makes people think. It makes people be introspective because someone says something and you connect to it. You know, good comedians find those things that you think are just everyday things, but everyone knows what they're talking about. Like, oh yeah, I do feel that did happen to me on the subway. Oh my God, my husband is like that. My whatever is like that, you know? And then you start thinking like, oh, do I do that? Why do I do that? Let me think about this deeper, you know? I feel like, and that's empowering because you get to know yourself better through another medium. It's almost like your brain is also relaxed when you're watching comedy.
Right.
So you can absorb things better. And I feel like the barrier to, what's the word I'm looking for? The barrier to like trying to push things away from you is lessened. It decreases because you're having a good time, and that's when all the good messages can come through. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. So I found it, by the way, and actually I said the wrong person. Millennial Amour gets credit for this. Nothing is worth more than laughter. It is strength to laugh and to abandon oneself to be in light. Tragedy is the most ridiculous thing.
I do agree that laughter is important, and it is a time too where you really, especially when something's like belly laugh and you let yourself go and you're crazy. That's a
there's
great
actually
feeling.
There's a room on Clubhouse, funny enough, that they just laugh. They just laugh and you laugh from your belly. It's a session. Like there's some therapies where it's laugh therapy and it's funny because it sounded crazy, but one time I was actually part of it, and after like 20 seconds of laughing, first I felt ridiculous, of course, and then because I'm forcing it. But then after like 20 seconds, it became like a real appreciation.
Yeah.
I think when you step into that state of gratitude and you realize, okay, in this moment I can just laugh, and it feels good. It feels so good. I remember getting out of the hospital one time. First thing I needed to hit up was a comedy club. I kid you not.
That's so wonderful.
Just let it go.
Yeah, and I feel like you also, as a person, we forget. There's times where, you know, in the last year or whatever, the pandemic, things get difficult, and I specifically seek out, okay, whose stand-up special have I not watched yet? Let me put something on where I can laugh for an hour and 15 minutes and, you know, feel a little relaxed, rejuvenate myself, get some serotonin and dopamine flowing, and
Well, you know,
I don't know what all that was. I don't know why I did that.
I love it. I love
This was serotonin and dopamine.
Life is challenging for a lot of people right now. What's the biggest takeaway you want your audience who love and have been supporting you? What do you want them to take away from you right now?
To always stay true to yourself and your beliefs, and to not do anything that doesn't feel right, whether that's an action, a job, hanging out with somebody, a goal, whatever it is. And if you listen to your instincts and your gut, I feel like your body always can tell you. Your body and brain always are there working to save you from stuff. So if you listen to yourself more, find out all the things that really, really matter to you and focus on those. Don't worry about what other people are doing or saying, and just stay true to yourself and really keep those people that you feel good around close to you. Yeah. Because everybody else just fades into background noise.
Well, that's also the interesting thing that the pandemic has highlighted. You know, if you really have to choose the people that you surround yourselves, you know, how are you selecting them there? Yeah. And are they people who are really bringing, you know, bringing goodness into your life and helping you level up? For somebody who's looking to kind of follow in the path that you have, and actually I do not want to miss the opportunity. You know, you are an advocate not just for the things happening here. I know in Iran, excuse me, I promise I can talk. You know, there have been some things that you've spoken up for. So, you know, you don't just say the funny stuff, you say the important stuff. Yeah. Like, speak on that, like share why that's important to you. Like you said, the multicultural background.
Yeah. Well, what happened recently in Iran, like very recently, just a few weeks ago, was there's a province in Iran called Khuzestan. It's actually where my family's from. They're from a specific area, a city called Ahvaz. There is a water shortage, and it was, the cause was an amalgamation of like government mismanagement and climate change.
Right.
And so people started to spill out into the streets to protest. It became bigger than just the water, though, because it's about also a people in a country that are living under oppression. So the protests spread from Khuzestan to other parts of Iran, making it all the way to the capital, Tehran. They were in Esfahan. They were in all different parts of Iran. It became a huge thing, and the media was largely silent regarding it, as they most often are when it comes to issues with Iran. And so I think it was really important for just myself and any other Iranian in the diaspora to kind of highlight what was going on, which is what I tried to do. We tried to organize things. We tried to, there was an organization of like sending funds there. But I think just informing the public was really important, because a lot of people had no idea what was going on. And a lot of people don't kind of know the intricacies of what goes on in Iran all the time either. Again, it's not covered as much in the media. And so it was really important to me to highlight that. And then what had happened too was the protesters were killed.
Right.
As far as we know, 8 people. I don't know if the numbers change, because who knows if that information will be released. But the internet also got slowed down and shut off completely. And or they made it really difficult to take videos and send them and upload them for obvious reasons, because all of these atrocities and violence towards the citizens were being documented on cell phones.
The violation of human rights.
Violation of human rights. And so I was also trying to bring attention to that. Thankfully, these things, a lot of the stuff I posted and other friends posted too, were making the rounds. I saw that it was being shared by non-Iranian friends, which is the point.
Right.
If you're Iranian, you know what's going on.
Right.
The point was to tell everybody else, like, hey guys, please pay attention and, keep this, because the more, I'm not saying the government's going to stop doing what they're doing, or whatever government's going to stop doing what they're doing because the citizens speak out, but it does put people on notice that, hey, everyone's watching now. Right. So, and to people who might not have known what was going on, maybe they will pay more attention, and maybe people that do have that type of power will take steps to help alleviate and change the situation.
Yeah, because we're all people. I feel like at times, if you are talking about another country, and people can tend to be very self-focused and say, oh, well, we're not concerned with what's happening over there. That doesn't affect me.
Yeah, it does though.
But it does, exactly. Like, for example, when the Beirut explosion happened, people would say, how's your family, right? And my family, thankfully, that I connected with, they were okay.
Yeah.
But what was so interesting when people would ask me that question, I'm like, okay, the family that I've spoken to are okay, but the people there, that's my family.
They're not okay.
They're not okay. And so just because some of my relatives, like, it impacts me. And when the people that I care about here show an interest in my background and the people that I care about and consider family, and they look at those through those lens of people and humanity, it feels good. So I really respect that you speak up and show that representation. You've always stayed true to that.
Thank you.
And I don't think anyone should expect anything else from you.
Well, thank you. I just think also we need to humanize each other, because most of the time when you report about atrocities in the Middle East, I really do find that most people in America are like, well, yeah, it's the Middle East. Right. And that's actually really hurts. Or I saw something from someone I knew a few years ago, and it wasn't a good friend, but it was an acquaintance. And he, something happened, and he was like, well, it's not like this is Syria. It's not like this is Baghdad. Even people that were making the July 4th jokes about like, oh, it sounds like Baghdad. That stuff really roused me up too, because I'm like, oh, first of all, do you even know why there were bombs in Baghdad?
Right.
Right. It's just really frustrating. And I don't like that people just kind of turn a blind eye to what, like, oh, that's what happens in the Middle East.
Right.
Learn the history, know why it's happening. And also you should still care. Human beings are being killed.
Right. Humans that don't want to be caught in the middle of it. Too.
Yeah.
And with regards to, like you said, the shortage of water and the climate change and the way that things are happening in a global, we could very easily be in those situations. We've got our own problems. Clearly, if there's one thing that 2020 did show us, we're not immune to some very big issues.
Absolutely.
When people started hearing about COVID, I remember people were like, we'll never go in a shutdown. Nothing like that would happen here. Flash forward to now, man. Sheesh. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, well, I love that you've been able to come back and update us. How can people stay connected to you, support you, just stay in touch?
Oh, thank you so much. Following me on either Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, I post updates for what's going on with work, whatever festivals my new projects are going to be screening at. I always share on social media so people can either watch them online or go in person if they're in that state or country. And that's how I will continue to update people.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, for our listening audience, you want to spell your IG handle?
Sure. It's I am Nazanin Nour. It's IAMNAZANINNOUR. And my Twitter handle is also just my name, Nazanin Nour. Same for my Facebook.
Thank you so much for being here. I
Thank
really,
you.
really appreciate it. And it's been fun to catch up as always.
Same.
And so thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
To everyone at home, this is another amazing episode. I hope you were inspired, because I always am when I talk to her. Follow my girl and be sure to stay connected to us. You can go to the website, www.unsugarcoatedmedia.com, subscribe for the newsletter, go to /shop, check out the products to support what we're doing. If you want to sponsor an episode, please also reach out to us there. In the meantime, we'll be back next week with more amazing and incredible social good conversation. Thank you. Until then, thank you for letting us be unsugarcoated. Take care. Bye-bye.
What are you still doing here? Come back next week.